Hello, my name is Stephen Simon, and I'm here with you to present my literacy case study conducted for Reading 7263 under the direction of Dr. Robert Griffith. I'd like to first tell you about my client. He's an upcoming third grader at Northside Elementary. Sam is an 8-year-old student who lives and breathes baseball. He has great background experiences. His family has traveled to the Dominican Republic and Jamaica, to list a few. It was a great opportunity to get to tutor Sam for the reason of him being a third grader at Northside, or going to be a third grader at Northside, because currently I teach third grade reading, and I think this was a great opportunity for me to work with a student that I'm going to have direct relation with in the fall. And so I was able to diagnose his problems that aren't typically always done with every student. Usually you pull your few concerns and you test them. And so I was able to give him a diagnostic assessment, and I was able to place interventions before the school year started. So that gave him sort of an introduction to things that would be to come in the fall, which is fantastic. And this was able to happen because his mother currently teaches at Northside as well. She's a first grade teacher. And so when I had the course coming up, I told her about it, and at that point I didn't know that I had a case study to conduct. And so when I needed one, I called her up, and she was really willing to let me work with him. Her thoughts are that she sees Sam loving school currently, but he has difficulties reading fluently, and he occasionally flips words and letters like was, saw, no, and on. Overall, his parents are concerned that his frustration in reading could negatively impact his positive attitude about school, which we don't want, because then that affects his learning. I conducted some pre-assessments, and this is the two that really stood out to me, the phonics assessment and the fluency. The pre-assessment showed that his largest two deficits were in the areas of phonics and fluency. And on a level 1 form A, he missed 16 names out of 60 on the early names test, which got him a score of 73. And just like his parents said, he had several reversals, like Grace was Garce. He also deleted and inserted several letters and words. On the fluency, this was affected because of the lack of phonics knowledge, and he scored a 74 when it comes to his rate and his words per minute on a beginning third grade informational passage. And for a third grader coming to me in the fall, we usually test them, I would say, end of August, beginning of September. They should be reading at 88 words per minute. Well, you can say, okay, Simon, it's not a big difference, but it's something to be looking at, because throughout the year, the rate in which the student should be able to read increases, and at that point he'll start to fall further and further behind. But there was some interesting data on his motivation to read profile. Typically, if you see a student struggling, they have a negative attitude and value towards reading. They don't see it really being applicable in their lives. But no surprise, he scored 60% in the area of self-concept. That's how he feels about himself as a reader. Definitely an area that we wanted to hit during tutoring. But what shocked me was a score of a 93 in the value of reading. This gave him an average of 76, which is passing. But that 93, I'm not sure whether it's because his mother is also a teacher and places that emphasis on reading, or his friends around him. But I found that really interesting, and it was interesting to see how it played out throughout the summer. So based on his pre-assessments and what I knew already about Sam and talking to his previous teacher, I created 3 goals that I wanted to hit during the summer. First off, that Sam would utilize repeated readings to improve fluency on his instructional level. Currently, he sits at a second grade, middle of second grade instructional level. I determined this using the QRI-5. And he did okay on it. Definitely phonics was something to point out, but it established that his instructional level was second grade. His second literacy goal would be to improve his phonics skills by using the analogy strategy and a personal word wall. And the third one, when given a second or third grade paragraph, Sam will be able to identify and correct spelling, grammar, and punctuation errors, missing 5 or less errors. These 3 goals are what we based our learning on when we were doing our sessions. And so this is the thoughts behind them. With Literacy Goal 1, it was determined that repeated readings would help improve on his accuracy, speed, and understanding of the text. Using various phrasing strategies, Sam will begin to focus more on punctuation and expression, which are also parts of fluency. It was shown in Roberts and Coffey's text that, with response to intervention, a lot of times schools focus on the rate and neglect to say that expression is an important factor, but it is. And the last one that's shown through research showed higher gains in fluency when using repeated readings. It didn't have a tie to comprehension, but repeated reading was our key here to show that over time, they became more confident readers and that they understood the text in which they were reading. For the second goal, in order to decode words correctly, Sam will need to be able to chunk, note special features, and identify spelling patterns within words. Using 4 to 5 pre-selected words from SightWords Passage, we will apply the analogy strategy, which we did. A Finnish study showed that analogy is a powerful cognitive mechanism used by people to make inferences and to learn new abstractions. And it's really good. Analogy is comparing something that you know to the unknown. And it was a strategy that I had learned as an undergraduate with Dr. Roberts that I really didn't have time to practice as much as I wanted to. So I took this opportunity to do that. Literacy goal number 3. If you remember, it talks about the writing and finding punctuation and grammatical and spelling errors. And so the traditional red pen marking of conventional errors is useless unless the student understands what the teacher means by all the marks on the paper. One study revealed that errors are just a part of the developmental process, and drawing attention to them is just one part of them. And that it's important that we as teachers work along with the students to identify and help correct their issues. And by correcting example paragraphs with the teacher's guidance, it helps the student understand common errors in writing. So I'm going to play a short video of the analogy strategy for you, and then we'll continue. Now I came up with a special challenge list for you. Yes, and this is the last word of the day. Okay, we'll give it one more start. Now I came up with a special challenge list for you. Yes, and this is the last word of the day. This is it, Sam. Ooh, so let's flip over to the back. I came up with a list of 10 words, and you can choose whatever word you want. Some words are one syllable, some words are 2. But this time I can't say a word at all. You think you can do it?
Yeah.
Okay, you ready? Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. I'll leave your sheet up here to look at. And there's your list of words. So talk to me. What's going on?
Right now, there's some words that there's words in the book. And then you see what the spelling pattern is. You do it right there. Yes. And spelling patterns. And then if the
Okay, so that's just a brief moment of the session I had with Sam. In this part, it was the independent practice, and he chose a word out of a list of 10, and he chose the word can, and he said, if I know can, I also know so many other words. And so I'll make sure to attach the PowerPoint so you'll be able to see the video in its entirety. So during the sessions, we created a simple word wall by using a file folder and markers. It separated words by the first vowel sound in the rhyme, and Sam had he had time to personalize the cover and make it his, which is important. On the right, you'll see a visual. In session 3, we created that aid that he used in that video that we just watched. It was a quick review of onset and spelling pattern. He said that he didn't hear it before, but I know, talking to the first grade team and the kindergarten and first grade team, that it is common terminology, but the more you don't use something, the further it goes back. And so we created it rather than printing one off Pinterest or Teacher Pay Teacher. And this visual aid was personalized as well. You can notice at the top, you see my writing, and we color coded, and we said the onsets at the beginning, the rhymes at the back, but it's also known as the spelling pattern. And then we determined a list of words, and he took over control right after the word hat. And so it was pretty cool. Looking at his post-assessment data, you will see I still focus on phonics and fluency because I want to show you the amount of growth that happened. On a level 1 Form A, we used the same as from the pre to the post. He missed 8 names out of 60, which equals a score of 87%. He had a growth of 14%, which is huge. I think it's partially due to the use and the implementation of the analogy strategy. I also listed the fluency down here. Fluency, we used the same exact passage, the 3.0 informational passage, but this time he seemed a little bit distracted to me because as soon as I introduced the passage, he got really excited. He's a second grader coming in third grade. You expect that. He had just gotten back from vacation the day before, and he had went to a gorilla exhibit, and he was telling me all about the gorilla, and he was like, King Kong, King Kong, King Kong. And I was like, Sam, we got to focus and pull it in. So I think that had a little effect on his rate there on the passage. He got 60 words per minute, where on the pretest he got 74. But nothing too outrageous. The great thing is that improvement in phonics. Interesting data. It wasn't a requirement, but since I listed the motivation to read profile on the pretest, the table, I wanted to put it on the post-test. And so his score in his self-concept as a reader went up 3% higher than before. Not a large gain, but that's improvement. And he scored 85 in the value of reading, which was down from the 93 initially that he scored. And that guy gave us a 74% overall. This took a slight fall. And although it did, I believe that this is a more accurate picture of what Sam actually believes. I did have that thought in my mind that, maybe he has just heard it so much that he just knew what to put. And so I think this is a more accurate picture of where Sam is at. My final thoughts are this. The tutoring process is a labor-intensive process. He has been a fantastic student to work with. He has always held a positive disposition during all sessions and was always willing to try new things. I enjoyed the process, searching for diagnostic tools to use with Sam. A lot of these tools that I used with Sam I'll carry over into my own classroom. I also felt that it was an adequate reading. I was an adequate reading teacher before, but the experience gave me confidence with a student student one-on-one, and the instruction that I gave Sam was worth it all in the end. He showed growth, and starting on August 5th, we'll be able to hit the ground running, and it's very, very, very exciting. Here are my references that I quoted from my research. Roberts and Coffey, O'Brien's article, Hoplin's and Hawkins' article. And I'd like to thank you for listening with me today.